It had been roughly 6 months since my dog Billy had ran away. We had extensive search parties and had flyers all over the city trying to find our furry friend. But to our dismay, we were never able to find him. We eventually had to move on with our lives. I still grieve losing him to this day. It was turning to the evening of a warm summer Tuesday. Me and the family were having a barbecue on the patio. Some of us were talking about how our days had gone. Some of us talked about our plans for the rest of the summer. I was sort of just sitting by myself, sipping some sweet tea, still kind of depressed about losing my dog towards the beginning of the year. It was actually just after the New Year's that we had lost our dog. We figured he'd probably passed away from the elements since he ran away during the winter. As everyone was doing their thing, I personally was just watching the leaves on the trees blow in the mild breeze we had. My mom yells out, "Hey, do y'all see that dog over there? It kind of looks like Billy." We all jump to our feet, see where my mom is looking. We all see a golden-looking dog that looked to be the same breed as our dog Billy, who was a golden lab. We all started walking towards the dog. It gets excited at the sight of us and runs to us. "Oh my, is that actually Billy?" I think to myself. My dad goes to check the dog collar and dog tag. "No way! Billy!" We all started screaming in excitement. Our dog was finally home after 6 months, and he actually looked relatively healthy. We bring him home, feed him, wash him, play with him all evening long. It felt like everything in life was good again. I went to bed that night full of excitement, knowing I would get to spend my whole day with my best friend tomorrow. I fall asleep with the biggest smile on my face. I wake up the next morning and jump out of bed in excitement. I run downstairs to go play with Billy. I see him, give him a big hug, and start petting him like there's no tomorrow. I take a few looks at his overall condition when I notice his eyes are entirely black. And I don't just mean heavily dilated pupils. I mean, the entire surface of his eyes were pitch black. He started growling and I jumped back. "Mom, Dad, come look at Billy. Something is wrong with his eyes." My parents run into the room to look at Billy, and he starts ferociously barking at them. "What's wrong with him?" Me and my siblings say basically at the same time. We all stand back for a second until he calms down. Once we did, we gave him some treats, took him to the vet to make sure that he was okay because this was not like our dog. Maybe he picked up some kind of brain lesion while he was on his own? We don't know. We get to the vet, and they run their tests and determine that there was nothing medically wrong with Billy. Maybe he was just exhausted and need some time to recover. We take him back home and leave him alone for the most part, trying to only engage contact with him when he chose to come to us, but he basically was just by himself the whole day. The day goes on. We have lunch, dinner, get ready for bed. It was about 11 p.m. that night, and I was falling asleep. I heard a big bang coming from downstairs. That was weird. I get up and walk out of my bedroom. I see my parents and siblings all doing the same thing. We all cautiously head downstairs to see what's going on. We see Billy going through the refrigerator eating anything and everything he can get his jaws in. My dad runs over to stop him, but Billy starts barking extremely aggressively at my dad and actually bites him. Hard enough to draw blood and need stitches. My dad retreats and we all watch Billy continue his ravenous behavior. All of a sudden, Billy stops eating and he slowly walks behind the island in our kitchen that was right next to the fridge. We all start slowly walking over to him. He sees us and starts jumping at us with full teeth showing. We all run to the middle of the kitchen. My dad picks up the house phone and proceeds to dial 911. "Hello, yes, we need animal control immediately. Our dog is completely out of control." We then hear Billy start shrieking. Before we knew it, we saw something rising up from behind the island. It looked like Billy, but it wasn't. It started to stand on its hind legs and stretch its forearms out. Its head almost touched the ceiling and turned around to face us. Billy looked half dog, half wolf. His eyes were beet red. He had developed massive muscles across the entire body. He charged it at full speed, and and we just managed to jump out of the way before he would pummel us into the ground or the wall. He runs right past us and jumps through the back door, just breaks the whole thing down, leaving shattered wood and glass all over the place. We see him hop the fence in our backyard, and before we know it, he runs into the trees and was never seen again. It still doesn't feel real. I was so happy to see my dog back after 6 months, but that thing wasn't my dog. I don't know what it was. It was almost like something had taken over him and turned him into a half-wolf beast. I never saw him again. It was early Friday evening. Me and my husband were sitting at home watching TV like we usually did on Friday evenings, relaxing and decompressing from the long week we had. My daughter asked me if she could go for a walk in the woods that were just on the road from our house. I said that was fine, but she needed to be back before the sun was fully down. She agreed and went on her way. Our daughter often went walking in these woods as there was a place for her to relax and connect with nature, which is something she was very fond of doing. Me and my husband also enjoyed walking in these woods during our free time, and it was always a nice place to bond with my love. A couple of hours pass by, it starts getting dark out, and our daughter isn't back yet. I started to get a little worried, but my husband reminded me that she a lot of times would be out until it was basically nighttime, and to not get concerned yet. We waited another hour, and saw no sign of her. Now I was legit scared because it was fully dark and she had not returned. I call her cell phone, but she doesn't answer. Okay, now I'm genuinely scared, I told my husband. We put on our shoes, then decided to head out to the woods, grabbing some flashlights, and my husband grabs his gun. Honey, why are you bringing your gun? I asked. Because you never know what you're going to encounter in the woods after dark, my husband replied. We head out to the woods and I am immediately freaking out because as I'm looking into the tree line, I can't see a single thing. It's dark. We turn our flashlights on and start venturing into the woods. We walk several hundred feet into the woods, calling out our daughter's name, but to no avail. We hop out of the woods and decide to call the police because at this point I'm fearing for my daughter's life. Who knows how deep she is in there, and she is not answering her phone or trying to contact us with it. The cops arrive about 20 minutes later, and we tell them what happened. They call a canine to try to track her down. We give the dog one of her shirts so we can get her scent, and the dog starts running into the woods. We all quickly follow suit. The dog seems to be running in a very determined manner, but I started noticing it keeps backtracking itself and keeps changing directions. We follow the dog for about 30 minutes when the dog stops and starts sniffing a very specific spot on the ground. The cop pulls the dog away and picks up something from the ground and hands it to us. Is this your daughter's doll, ma'am? The cop asked. No, it's not. But it looks like her and smells like her. What? At this point, it's approaching midnight, and the cop tells us to go back home, and they would gather some more personnel and keep searching throughout the night. We head back to the house with the doll in hand. We get home, and I put the doll on the kitchen table. I take a seat in the living room and start calling everyone I know in the area asking if they had possibly seen our daughter, but nobody had any answers. Although a lot of them offered to help in finding her, which I thought was quite nice. As I'm talking to one of my girlfriends about the situation, I hear my daughter's voice. I immediately put down the phone and run into the kitchen expecting to see my daughter, but she's nowhere to be found. I look at the doll on the table, pick it up, and look at it very closely, inspecting every detail of it. I hear her voice again, coming from the doll. I drop the doll in fright. I try to be rational and try to find a squeaker in the doll, but there are none. The doll says, "Hi, Mama," in my daughter's exact voice. I scream and my husband comes running in. "What's wrong?" he asks. I tell him what just happened and he almost looks pissed at me. Why would you even make a joke like that when our daughter is missing? "Hi, Daddy," the doll says. My husband's eyes went as wet as I've ever seen them go. "Is there a squeaker in that thing?" he asked. "No," I reply. The doll keeps talking to us like it's our actual daughter, and we just sit there in confusion and terror. Days and weeks go by, and our actual daughter is never found. The cops eventually declare her legally deceased, but the doll keeps talking to us on a daily basis. We never respond to it because that would be crazy, right? That's not our daughter, is it? Our daughter went for a walk in the woods, and now she's inside a doll? I know it sounds completely insane, but what explanation does anyone else have? A few years ago, me and my husband decided to move from Florida to Tennessee. My husband had gotten a new job offer there that would financially change our lives forever. We made the move full of optimism and excitement, ready to start our new life. Outside of the new job, I was actually excited to move to a state that was full of mountains. I always loved the idea of having a vacation in a cabin in the Tennessee mountains. We made the move during the first week of September 2015. My husband's job would be starting at the last week of September, so this would give us a few weeks to get moved into our new house and acclimated to the new community we were becoming a part of. Once we had gotten all of our stuff off the U-Haul and into our home and had everything situated the way we wanted, we decided to hit the town to go mingle with the townfolk. We wanted to make some new friends so that we wouldn't feel lonely being the newcomers in town. We went to a few clubs and bars. We met a handful of people, even getting some invitations to hang out with people outside of the bar. It seemed like the locals were accepting us into the community without much issue. It was rather comforting and reassuring. We got back to the house around 1 a.m. and crashed for the night. The next day, as we were waking up and getting ready for the day, we heard the doorbell ring. I go downstairs and answer the door. I opened the door to a rather well-dressed couple. They were dressed in all-black suits. They must run some kind of business together, I thought to myself. "Hi, can I help you?" I asked. "Hey, so sorry to bother you this early in the day. Did you just move into this house earlier this week?" the man said. "Yes, me and my husband just moved in. He got a job at a firm in town that was just too good to pass up." "Oh, very nice. Congrats to you both," the woman said. I smiled. "Once again, sorry to bother you. Real quick. So, we are throwing a party tomorrow evening at our place, which is just about a block away. We would have come at a more suitable time, but we are extremely busy the next few days, and we figured you probably are too. We had some time this morning. We wanted to extend the invitation to you," the man said. "Oh my, yes, we would love to attend. What's your address and what time does it start tomorrow?" I asked. "We are the house on the same side of the street as you, house number 2342. The party starts at 7 p.m. and it goes till midnight or until everyone just decides to go home," the woman says. "Awesome. Yes, we would love to attend," I reply. "Perfect. We shall see you then," the man says. "See you then," I reply as I shut the door. I tell my husband about what just happened. He seemed rather excited about it. We go about our activities for the day and the day after. The next evening, we get ready and head over to the party. It seemed like the entire neighborhood was invited to this party, as there was at least 40 to 50 people walking to the same house at the same time as we were, at least from my point of view. We get to the house and realize this couple is very wealthy because this house is enormous. The couple greets us at the door, shows us around the house. We grab some drinks and snacks and start chatting with anyone and everyone. This town sure did seem friendly, and they are very receptive to newcomers, almost a little too welcoming at times. We didn't want to question anything and be rude, but it almost seemed like everyone wanted to get to know us and wanted to be our friend. It was a little weird, but we just accepted it since we were the new couple in town. The night goes on, and me and my husband start to notice that everyone is starting to act different. At first, we just thought it was people acting a fool because they were drunk or on other substances. Me and my husband were definitely a little buzzed from the alcohol that was in the punch, but we still had our wits about us for the most part. We hear some kind of crash coming from one of the rooms that had the door shut. No one seems to bat an eye. So we get a little curious, start walking over to the door. As we walk over to the door, someone bumps into my husband, who then bumps into me, sending me tumbling to the ground. "Oh my, I'm so sorry, miss. Are you okay?" A drunk man asks as my husband helps me up. "Yeah, I think I'm fine," I reply. "Honey, your arm," my husband says. I look down on my arm and there's blood coming from my forearm. I then look at the door and see that one of the hinges has blood on it. Looks like I had scraped my forearm on the door hinge and cut myself, although I somehow didn't feel it. Must have been all the alcohol, I figured. The drunk man then begins looking at me in a very creepy, predatory way. My husband gets in front of me, confronting the man. "Dude, you knocked my wife over and now you're giving her creepy eyes? Get out here before you get hurt." The drunk man jumps on my husband and proceeds to bite his arm, more than hard enough to draw blood. My husband screams in pain. As I go to help my husband, a woman grabs me with the grip of a beast and bites my arm. I scream out in pain. As I'm fighting off the woman, as my husband fights off the drunk man at the same time, I realize they aren't trying to beat us up. They just bit our arms and started sucking our blood. I see the couple that had invited us to the party rip off the two people that were attacking me and my husband. They then grabbed them and snapped their necks. I just stood there in complete terror. What the hell is going on? I'm so sorry. There are some things we didn't tell you when we invited you to the party, and these morons broke a very sacred rule, the man said. "What are you talking about?" I say. "Well, I guess there's no point in trying to hide the truth now. This town is full of vampires, and we wanted to initiate you two into the community. But what those two just did goes against everything we stand for. Did they bite you?" "Yes." Me and my husband look at both of our arms, and we see very distinct bite marks. "Oh my, you may want to sit down. You're not going to be feeling very good here in a minute," the woman says. "Why? What's going to happen?" I ask, terrified. "The transformation," both the man and woman say. Me and my husband sit down. "So, what's going to happen?" I ask. Before the couple can even answer, I feel dizzy and pass out. I wake up sometime later with everyone at the party looking at me. I slowly get up and see my husband doing the same thing. I run into my husband's arms because I just need some comfort. "How did you feel?" the woman asks. I think about it for a second, but something catches my attention instantly. I smelled blood. And it smelled really, really good. I looked at the door I had just fallen on earlier and noticed the blood was still there. And I started getting this insatiable thirst for blood. Did me and my husband just become vampires?